Hello students, and welcome back to class. In this video, we'll practice some of the algebra skills that we'll need for future lessons. Let's start with multiplying binomials, also known as FOIL problems. When we multiply, we first multiply the firsts together. That's x times x. Then we multiply the outers. X times 2 looks like this. Now multiply the inners. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Finally, we multiply the lasts. That's a negative times a positive is a negative. Now, often when we do FOIL problems, the outers and the inners are like terms. Let's put those together. I'll copy the x squared. 2x minus 7x is negative 5x. And copy the minus 14. There's the way I want my final answer to look. This problem is kind of a special case. Notice that the x's match, the 5's match, but one is positive and one is negative. Can you predict what will happen when we multiply the outers and the inners? Let's try it. Multiply the firsts, x times x. Now the outers. That's x times negative 5. That looks like that. Next, multiply the inners. 5 times x. Finally, we multiply the lasts. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Let's combine the like terms. But watch what happens when we combine the like terms. Negative 5x and positive 5x is 0. So we don't write it. We just write the x squared minus 25. Look for this special case in future problems, where the outers and the inners add up to 0 and go away. Here's another algebra tool that will prove useful in upcoming problems. Our job is to solve each equation. I notice that they're quadratic, which means there's a square on one of the variables. When that happens, I know to look for two answers. Our job is to use the factoring method to find those two answers. Before we can use the factoring method, we should set our quadratic equation equal to 0. I'll put 0 on one side of the equal sign. I choose this side because I like my x squared to be positive, and it already is, so I don't want to move it. Instead, we'll move this negative 6x over to this side of the equal sign, where it's a positive 6x. I'll also move this positive 16 to this side of the equal sign, where it's a negative 16. Now let's see if this factors. X squared is x times x. I need two numbers that multiply to 16 that also combine to give me 6. 16 could be 8 times 2. And if I make the 8 positive and the 2 negative, positive 8 and negative 2 will add up to positive 6. Now let's get our two answers. What makes this binomial 0? Well, if I move positive 8 to this side, negative 8 would do the job. What makes this binomial equal to 0? If I move negative 2 to the other side of the equal sign, I get positive 2. There's my two answers. Let's try that again. Our job is to solve. It's quadratic, so we'll set it equal to 0. I like my x squared positive. Let's move this positive x to this side of the equal sign where it's a negative x, and move this negative 42 to this side of the equal sign where it's a positive 42. Now I notice that this x does not have a number in front of it. Let's put a 1 there. And we'll try to factor. I need two numbers that multiply to 42, and when I combine them, they must give me negative 1. Well, two numbers that multiply to 42 could be 7 and 6. I think I made a mistake. Isn't it great how my mistakes can just go away? Now we're set. Two numbers that multiply to 42 are 7 and 6. 7 and 6 will combine to negative 1 if I make the 7 negative and the 6 positive. They'll also multiply to this negative 42 because I'm multiplying a negative times a positive. Let's get my two answers. What value for x makes this equal to 0? Well, if I move negative 7 to the other side of the equal sign, it's positive 7. What value for x makes this equal to 0? Well, if I move 6 to the other side of the equal sign, I get negative 6. There's my two answers to that quadratic equation. All right, your turn. Go work some homework problems and then meet me back here.